My fellow Americans, I'm pleased to tell you today that I've signed legislation that will outlaw Russia forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes.
It is essential that our team learns to work with our new recruit, not against him.
I'm a geek, walking down the street.
Check the computer.
The mainframe computer. I access the mainframe.
At the end of this day, one shall stand, one shall fall. Time to find out.
Welcome to Basically a Geek Show. Here are your hosts, Mike and Jack.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 20. That's 2 X's of Basically a Geek Show. My name's Mike. With me, as always, is Jack.
I don't know, I'll be looking more forward to the third X, if you know what I mean.
Well, as I talked about on Basically a Sports Show, Super Bowl 30 was actually the first Super Bowl that they had a website for. And, you know, of course, Super Bowl 30, you know, they used the Roman numerals, so it was Super Bowl XXX. Now, this was early in web technology. A lot of internet browsers with filters on them thought SuperBowl30.com was a porn site.
What could possibly go wrong? And the funny thing is, I mean, I'm sure no one at the NFL even thought about this.
No, it was like the early days of the web. Nobody knew what the hell was going on.
No one had thought to use it for porn.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was first used for as soon as it launched.
It's got to be. I mean, you know, it's pretty much got to be. But yes, 20 shows. Man.
Woo! 20 shows, 20 weeks of awesomeness.
Indeed.
So we're going to start off with actually something that, you know, despite being part of our logo, we really haven't touched on, mostly for lack of news. We did a bit of the Star Trek, Star Wars debate, and you know, we talked a bit about rumors for directing the third Star Trek movie in this rebooted series. But we finally have something besides just pure conjecture to talk about in terms of a new Star Trek television show.
Finally. I mean, I think we all knew it would come about in discussion sooner or later again. We just didn't know when, but now we've got something to go on a little bit at least.
Now, these are rumors, nothing concrete. So a lot of this will be, again, conjecture, but it's not just us pulling stuff out of our ass this time. This comes from somewhere. Now, apparently, Netflix is discussing the possibility of doing a weekly Star Trek show as a Netflix original series, much in the same vein as House of Cards.
Right.
Now, apparently this came up, and again, I can't experience this because Canadian Netflix is awful. But apparently in the United States, American Netflix, you can watch every Star Trek series on it.
Right. Yes, you can.
And apparently the most, Star Trek series, various Star Trek series routinely top Netflix's list of most watched content.
Yes, they do.
So Netflix is thinking, hey, our customers obviously like Star Trek. There are no plans to do a Star Trek weekly series, at least on Paramount's end, so let's see if we can do something.
Yeah.
Now, again, even though I represented Star Wars in the Star Trek Star Wars debate, I have no animosity towards Star Trek. In fact, I rather enjoy parts of it.
You hate freedom.
So, you know, I'm excited. I know you're the bigger Star Trek fan, Jack, and so I'm curious. What do you think? What are you thinking about this? Like, what are your thoughts? What are your, perhaps, even wishes to see out of it?
I'm actually very, very happy to hear this. After I sat and thought about it for a few seconds, you know, first I'm like, wait, Netflix doing it? That's kind of weird. But this whole thing of Netflix doing shows is kind of new to me. I just now started watching House of Cards this week, so.
Oh, what do you think?
I mean, I like it. It's like Game of Thrones with politics and fewer people dying. That notwithstanding, I like it quite a bit. they very much, in their production values, they very much kind of have the same production values as, say, like HBO or someone would. So I would actually kind of like to see them take a shot at Star Trek because of that. Because CBS or whoever they end up giving it to, in terms of like
it would go on the CW.
Yeah, and do we want that? Do we want it to go, well, with the exception of like Supernatural? I guess Supernatural's kind of given CW some legitimacy. But really, I don't want a Star Trek show on CW. I mean, come on, really?
Indeed.
So I think this would be a good route to take. I think Netflix can kind of take the time and to give it the attention that it deserves, maybe with a little bit bigger of a budget because they have more to work with. They have fewer constraints. They don't have to worry about time slots or any of that other shit. There's less politicking with, airing it and all this other shit and people don't have to, make a choice to watch it or another show the way these broadcast networks like to grab ass around with shit. Mm-hmm. People go on there and watch it when they want. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, indeed. In terms of storyline, again, we've touched on this a bit before. It comes back to what timeline would it be set in? Because with the movies, we kind of have two separate timelines to work with. Are they going? Obviously, it wouldn't be based on the Enterprise crew if they set it in the timeline of the new movie.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't work. That I don't see that working. I did rewatch at least some of the highlights from DS9 over the last couple of weeks, and I actually have a bit of an idea as to a place where I remember me mentioning something about the Starfleet Academy angle to it, mm-hmm. and how if they did that it would kind of suck. Mm-hmm. There is one way to do it.
Okay.
Where it wouldn't suck.
Okay.
Red Squadron.
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, basically during the Dominion War, Red Squadron was like, the best Starfleet cadets.
Oh, okay, those guys, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And if they did that in like a TNG setting and yes, I'm not giving up the TNG setting. There's too much awesome stuff that could happen there to play with.
Like Picard's flute obsession.
Yes. I would like him in a holodeck with like a program of Ian Anderson. I think that'd be awesome. But anyways, no, like a renewed war with the Romulans or the Klingons or what have you, and this Federation ship sent out there. Federation's in a bad spot. They send these kids out because even though they are just cadets, they are the best of the best of the best, sir. And they go out there, they do their thing. I think it could be interesting. I mean, they don't have a lot they can work with. They can't take the TNG crew, I don't think, because I don't know how many of them would be willing to come back except for maybe cameos. I'm sure Jonathan Frakes would come in for a few cameos here and there.
Jonathan Frakes has shown his willingness to, I'll be Riker for a cameo or two, but the problem with that is that I know you like Nemesis. And
yes.
I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people say it is, but I got to agree with the criticism that just watching that movie, it seems like a lot of the actors are just sort of sleepwalking through their roles.
Well,
and I kind of think that movie puts the kibosh on using the TNG cast full-time in any capacity.
Well, maybe not just that. I think Nemesis got a bad rap for a lot of things. I mean, for one thing, it's not Insurrection.
At least you can actually remember what happened to Nemesis.
Right. And didn't you tell me that it was launched against Lord of the Rings or something?
It was put up against it was launched the same weekend as Lord of the Rings, the Twin Towers, and then one of the Harry Potter movies. I forget which one. But one of the Harry Potter movies and the second Lord of the Rings movie. And it wasn't pretty. It was not pretty.
Well, and that's a stupid decision on the part of Paramount. I mean, nothing was going to do well. That's where you throw out the fucking Adam Sandler movie. I mean, you throw out the Adam Sandler movie because anything's going to be fucked, and let's just put out something we know is going to be abysmal to begin with. Let's just throw out the goddamn Adam Sandler movie and be done with it. You don't put out something like Star Trek. I know Star Trek has had its share of less than honorable mentions in the movie element. But still, it deserves better than that.
Yeah.
So, and that I think accounts for a lot of its bad box office performance. Now, I personally, this is something that's very subjective. I haven't rewatched Nemesis in quite a while. I think it was good. I think it was a solid movie. It had action. I enjoyed the plot. I liked it. I still don't see them doing a TNG casted movie simply because I think most of them have gotten older and gone on. I mean, I guess they could get LeVar Burton probably.
They canceled Reading Rainbow. What's he got going on?
I know, right? Fucking assholes. Fucking canceling Reading Rainbow. God damn, they're black souls.
Yeah, I loved Reading Rainbow.
Yeah, what the fuck, guys? Seriously. But, so they might be able to get some cast members back. I don't think it wouldn't be the same. People would complain about it, and there's no sense in even trying. Mm-hmm. Let's just have a new crew, a different ship. I doubt it would be the Enterprise.
Well,
but that's okay.
I mean, both DS9 and Voyager set the precedent that a Star Trek series doesn't necessarily have to follow a Enterprise.
Right.
Now, obviously,
Voyager showed that it could be done and it still be enjoyable.
Well, yeah. Voyager said that you could do the concept. DS9 said you could do it well.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, Voyager.
God damn it, Voyager. But yeah, I mean, there's a few different ways they could go with it to where it's not going to be utterly offensive. They could also do it in the Abrams verse. They could do it.
I mean, there are other starships in the Abrams verse other than the Enterprise, so. And honestly, I do think that they would do it in the Abrams verse if only because it would make things simpler for the viewers. I'm not saying viewers are stupid, although I think there's a case to be made that at least a good portion of them are. But I think just in terms of streamlining the brand, keeping the entire brand sort of on target, so to say, from a marketing perspective at least, I could see them saying, oh, well, it has to be based in this new universe.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be pissed off if they did that. I'm just like, if you just ask me what my wish list is, which you kind of did, that would be what it would be. I would want it to be in the TNG universe because I think there's a lot of cool shit there that can still be done. And maybe it's because there's like an established timeline there that I'm familiar with.
Now, I just had a thought that would make your head explode.
What?
I was thinking about the possibilities if it was in the Abrams verse. You obviously couldn't get the film cast to be full time, but if Netflix have the money and the resources that they have, and then you figure if Paramount got in on it, which they obviously would if they made a Star Trek show, you could probably get Chris Pine or Zachary Quinto, for example, to show up for maybe a cameo here or there. And I was thinking, what if they did that anyway, and they had a flashback if the show was based in the TNG verse, but then they used Chris Pine for Kirk in a flashback?
Well, I mean, that would honestly work.
I know it would, but you would get so much nerd rage.
Because it's established that Chris Pine evidently looks like Kirk back then. And that overlaps in the TNG universe. That's one of the few things that do.
It would work. It would work. I'm just imagining, the...
Oh, yeah. Would there be butthurt? Yes, there would be butthurt.
I'm imagining the butthurt, yeah.
Yeah, there would totally be fucking butthurt all up in that thing. And
it's
they would
not
just need
Kirk,
to
yes, well, William Shatner is fat and bloated, so...
Right, exactly. And, there's only so much you can reasonably do. I see Zachary Quinto being more likely to do it because he's already had several television roles as it is. And it's obviously something that he's not adverse to doing. So I would more see him. And of course we know Leonard Nimoy. He don't give a shit. He'll come on there and ramble for a few minutes.
Yeah, his whole I'm not Spock thing seemed to have been dropped pretty quickly.
Yeah, I remember actually when that book came out, my mother was so pissed. Oh my God. It was one of the few times I actually heard her come close to cussing.
And let's be honest about Leonard Nimoy's I'm not Spock phase. The Ballad of Bilbo Baggins. Really, Leonard? There's the Ballad of Bilbo Baggins. He hosted that sort of Unsolved Mysteries show.
In Search of, yes.
Yeah, In Search of, which they showed replays of on History up here for it wasn't the History Channel in Canada back then, but when I was a kid, they would show reruns of In Search of and be like, Leonard Nimoy searches for the real Dracula, and then they'd have him like hopping around Transylvania, like being, and this is one of Dracula's castles, and then they'd zoom in on it and play like scary music, and then our Nimoy would be like, is there more here? Da da da. And that's enjoyable, but come on, Leonard. Spock. That's where the money is, man.
Yeah, he realized that probably after his lights were shut off. Let's face it, he doesn't have much else going these days, and honestly, never really did. So, which, I mean, it does suck. I can see where he's coming from the I am not Spock thing, in terms of, he doesn't want to be pigeonholed. He's an actor.
Yeah, but Bruce Campbell went through that crisis with a sense of humor with his My Name is Bruce movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great.
Indeed. I understand where Leonard Nimoy kind of came from, but I thought it was a bit of an overreaction.
Yeah, there's a way to do that kind of thing without pissing off your fan base. And that's what he did. He did it in a way that pissed off his fan base. And that's not good. You don't bite the hand that feeds you, even if that hand is kind of pimply. And has Cheetos dust caked on it. You just don't do that.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, I guess that's really all we have. Again, this is just a rumor on this new Star Trek series. I do echo your sentiments that I think it would be well done, because Netflix has proven with House of Cards that they know how to do television right, I guess. They know how to make HBO level stuff. And so I think Star Trek Star Trek with like a Game of Thrones style treatment I think could really be cool. And honestly, the stuff we're nitpicking about what universe is it going to be set in, what's the cast going to be, is it going to be an Enterprise ship or not? All that stuff is going to be secondary. When it airs, if it's good, then that's going to be what people are talking about. And all the nitpicky butthurtness will fall to the wayside rather quickly if it's well done.
I mean, and if it's good, I'm not going to care what they do with it, if it's good. And now I know a lot of our viewers will probably say, well, Netflix did the new season of Arrested Development, and I'll be honest with you, I never got into that show. It was okay. I never got what the big fucking deal was with it.
I liked it.
So
I like Arrested Development.
I had nothing against it. I just didn't see I won't say I didn't see the point. I don't see what all the fuss is about.
Well, it's funny. A lot of the Arrested Development cast actually does Archer.
I can see that. I just, again, it's nothing against that show, but I can't really cite that as, one way or the other, whether it was good, whether it was bad. I never watched it. I did watch the original series when it was around a little bit because I had one channel and it was Fox and I watched it. Beyond that, whatever. So I can't really cite that, but I can say House of Cards is good. I've heard good things about Orange is the New Black, though. That's another one that I have not watched and probably won't. The subject matter just really doesn't do anything for me.
I've heard everyone talking about this show, Orange is the New Black, but I honestly don't know anything about it. I don't even know, the premise.
Yeah, it's some chick in prison or something like that.
Oh, okay. I hear people talk about, Orange is the New Black is awesome, and I keep hearing it. I'm like, apparently this show is really good, but I don't know a single damn thing about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, the subject matter just really isn't anything that appeals to me, and so I haven't watched it, and I probably won't.
I don't know, but I mean, my TV time is kind of, I know Game of Thrones, has just ended, its current season.
Shit was cray-cray, yo.
Oh, it was. But between, Game of Thrones and, the Newsroom coming back, this fall, and Doctor Who coming back this fall, I just really, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, Orange is the New Black. I'm book solid.
Yeah, and, I've been watching House of Cards, and then when I'm done with that, I'll go. By that point, I'll probably have had a few episodes of Defiance banked up that I can sit and watch for a few hours, so.
I've got, I have yet to see the American House of Cards, but I really want to. I did get around to watching the British version.
I have not seen the British version, of course.
The British version is the British version is it's pretty funny if you just like blatant Machiavellian politicking, which I assume is what the American version is about. But I've heard that the British version, like the main guy in the British version, is so much more of a bastard than in the American version, and I've heard that Kevin Spacey is a bastard.
That's hard to, because his character in the American version is a real fucking bastard. But
I've heard like the guy, and I've only seen the British version, but I've heard that the guy in the British version is worse.
I like the character though. I kind of like him. I find myself rooting for him, even though he is a son of a bitch.
I have seen the commercials. I've seen the commercials for House of Cards where he goes, where I guess he's sworn in as vice president at some point in the future. And again, I don't want to say this is spoilers because they aired this.
You just fucking did, you asshole.
No, they aired it in a commercial. This was aired in a commercial. Like, I haven't seen the series, and even I know this because I watched the goddamn previews. So I'm not saying spoilers, okay? Because he says in the preview, one heartbeat away from the presidency and not a vote cast in my name. Democracy is overrated.
Amen to that shit.
But yeah, no, I'm not doing the spoiler thing on that because, that was in the goddamn commercial. So no, you're not pinning that one on me.
You know me, I don't care. I don't give a rat's ass about spoilers.
But, yeah, no. It's interesting. I searched for, House of Cards on, iTunes. I don't have Netflix, but I do have the iTunes store through my iPhone. And, I figured it wouldn't be on there because, Netflix and Apple, whatever. But I searched, House of Cards, and that's where I got the British version. The British version is on it. But what was funny was when I searched for House of Cards on my iTunes, one of the you would also like suggestions came up as Power Rangers Wild Force.
What the fuck?
It was like, we saw you searched House of Cards. You would also like Power Rangers Wild Force.
What the bleeding fuck actually is going... I mean...
Now,
wow.
I haven't seen Power Rangers Wild Force. Maybe it is a political thriller. I don't know.
I gotta watch that shit. That just...
Power Rangers House of Cards.
God.
Oh, God. You know what? I'd watch the fuck out of that series.
Fucking Red Ranger going up to Zordon. You owe me. I own you now. It would be a shame if you voted against me and this tube just happened to get shattered.
I would watch the fuck out of Power Rangers House of Cards, okay? But speaking of Power Rangers, we talked about that Saban and Lionsgate Entertainment were teaming up to do a Power Rangers, a rebooted live-action Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
Yes.
This was not all that long ago, actually, and apparently they already have some footage to show at San Diego Comic-Con later this summer.
Well, I mean, the thing is, okay, is it going to be actual footage, or is it going to be a trailer made just for Comic-Con? Because keep in mind, they did that...
With Godzilla.
Right, and... Well, though, actually, granted, what they showed us in that Godzilla trailer was actually pretty true to what we ended up getting. Mm-hmm. At least in spirit and tone and everything. And I don't recall if that actual scene was in the movie. But you could definitely, like, the Godzilla outline that they used in that quote-unquote trailer was very similar to what we got. So maybe, but I mean, it could just be something just made for Comic-Con and may not, may not be representative of the final product at all.
Well, whatever they end up showing, I hope someone catches it on a goddamn iPhone, because when that Warcraft trailer came out at Comic-Con last year, a room full of nerds and not a single one pulled out an iPhone to capture it.
Yeah, and okay, we get it, they may have even frisked people and shit. Okay, fine, but goddamn it, Nerds, we are better than this. Since when have we ever let a frisk stop us?
Yeah,
If anything, it's the closest thing we've had to personal affection in years. Let's get on with it and fucking get the footage.
No, I mean, yeah, come on, guys. Internet, you let us down. Internet, you didn't get, people say, oh, you can find everything, you could find anything on the internet. You know what you can't find on that internet? You know what you can't find on the internet? That goddamn Warcraft trailer from Comic-Con.
Yeah, as you would say, this is goddamn amateur hour, people.
Exactly. Come on, folks. Like, a room full of tech-savvy nerds and not one person pulled out an iPhone? Or, had something hidden in their hat?
At least some of you Horde players should have done it. Loktar Ogar,
Yeah.
for the Horde, record the damn footage.
Yeah, come on. So yeah, whatever, whatever ends up being shown, I hope someone captures it, because goddamn it. But yes, Jason David Frank, who played Tommy Oliver, the original Green and White Ranger, will be there, promoting the film. This doesn't, we don't know if he's actually gonna be in it. I believe that when we first talked about this, I said that, in all likelihood, the original characters probably would be recast. So I don't think, Jason David Frank would be playing Tommy Oliver, but he will be promoting the film at Comic-Con, and he might have, a cameo of some sort.
What if they're doing like a Power Rangers Legacy, where they make it like a direct sequel to the first, and this is like a handing of the torch off or some shit?
That would be interesting. Everything that I've seen about this film says reboot, but, who really knows what that means anymore?
Yeah, we've gone into such nebulous territory of this reboot shenanigans.
A reboot could just...
More or less, yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
A reboot.
But, it could just be, when they say that, they could just mean we're getting new cast members. We don't know. Yeah. I heard some people refer to Age of Extinction as a reboot, even though it's not. It is technically a sequel, but a lot of the human cast is new. So, to them, that constitutes a reboot. So, it might be, and, they could have him playing Tommy Oliver in it, but what's actually really interesting is that, Austin St. John, who played, Jason Lee Scott, the original, Red Ranger, has via Twitter announced that he's in negotiations, for a 2-film deal. Now, here's what's interesting. He hasn't confirmed or denied this is Power Rangers related. And nothing against Austin St. John, though, but I don't think he's done anything since Power Rangers.
Yeah, really.
Last I heard, he was actually working as a paramedic.
I wonder if they tried contacting Billy Yost. I can see how that conversation went. Yeah, this is Billy Yost. Yeah, are you still gay? Yes. We have nothing to say to you, click.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Poor man.
Indeed. But the reason why I bring it up is that because Austin St. John is known for Power Rangers and nothing else really, it seems to indicate that it is kind of Power Rangers related. And of course, whether or not he'd actually be playing Jason, the original Red Ranger, is up for debate. But honestly, the big rumor mill is that he would be there to play Lord Zed.
Interesting.
Who is the primary villain of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series once they got Reed out of the way. But that is interesting to kind of bring him in and sort of have him play the villain. I'm not sure how that would go, honestly. Part of me thinks that it would work because Austin St. John is, in actuality, an accomplished martial artist, so you really wouldn't even need a stunt double for him.
Yeah.
For fight scenes and whatnot. And and because, I don't think he's acted in quite some time, the heavy makeup and costuming might hide some of the deficiencies when it comes to facial expressions and the like. I don't know. It's an interesting theory. I'm not sure again, I'm not sure how it would play out, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Honestly, this whole Power Rangers thing, it has really got me curious because, well, I'm not sure I want it completely dark and gritty. A more mature take on the whole Power Rangers concept, it has been something that I have often thought, well, for the sake of argument, what would that be like? And now it looks like we might be getting it. So, as more news comes out, we'll report it, of course, but, really we just know that we're gonna get some sort of footage. Jason David Frank will be there, and Austin St. John might be in it. So, that's pretty much it at the moment.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Again, I wouldn't look for too much besides like an overall tone maybe that they're going for with this footage at Comic-Con, even if we actually get to see it, that is. Mm-hmm. I mean, we might just have to rely on secondhand accounts, but I wouldn't look for much beyond that. I don't think they're going to show any actual footage of the movie.
Indeed. Given how short it's been since it was actually announced that the movie was being made, I mean, I would honestly be shocked if they had footage of like actual actors.
I wouldn't be shocked. I want to say concerned, but then again, it is Saban. So I'd be like, okay, so this tells us that they pretty much filmed this like a really long episode. And that wouldn't really surprise me one damn bit. I mean, I'm not expecting anything resembling quality. If we get it, awesome. But I'm not expecting it.
Indeed. And then, we've got some new comic book, movie news. I believe on the DC front, Jason Momoa has been confirmed to be playing Aquaman in the new movie.
Which, nothing against Jason Momoa. Love Khal Drogo. But, god damn it, Aquaman. I mean, I know we've gone over this already, but yeah. I
mean, again, and I'll echo what I said last time when we talked about this rumor initially. I saw him in the rebooted Conan movie. And I don't know if that's on him entirely, because the script was awful, but he was not good. And, Khal Drogo is one thing when, you just have to look scary and grunt.
Yeah.
But, his one significant outing in, like, a script that actually required him to say lines did not really impress me all that much.
Well, who knows? Maybe Zach will be right. Maybe, it'll just be like this yearbook-esque photograph at the end. Hi, we're the Justice League! With this fucking line of people at the end, and that's the only time you see them.
Yeah.
That would be a mercy.
Yeah.
Incredibly cheesy and, eye-roll worthy, but it would be a mercy.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect out of this movie anymore. I'm just gonna go in expecting, like, a complete train wreck, and then if it is that, at least I'll have my expectations fulfilled and I'll be entertained.
Yeah.
But also on the Marvel front, both Tom Hardy, Tom Hardy was actually Shinzon in Star Trek Nemesis that we talked about earlier.
Yep.
And he also played Bane in The Dark Knight Rises.
Or as Diablo players know him as Deckard Bane.
But, and when you think about it, Shinzon to Bane is kind of an interesting transformation there in terms of acting. But, Benedict Cumberbatch, known for playing Sherlock in BBC's show Sherlock, based on modern-day Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
As well as playing Khan Noonien Singh from the Star Trek Into Darkness movie. Played, the venerable Khan! And, of course, he does the voice for Smaug in the Hobbit trilogy, Smaug the Dragon. So, I'm not sure how familiar you all are with Doctor Strange as a character.
Not very at all.
He's a mystic-based superhero in Marvel. His powers are derived from the arcane. Whereas Tony Stark has his, Iron Man suit, and the Hulk has gamma radiation, and Captain America is American.
Yeah.
He's got that super soldier serum. Stephen Strange is pretty much, he gets his powers from magic, essentially. Very kind of, mystical-based superhero, kind of, magical, mystical, that sort of thing, chants, old tombs of spells, that's the kind of, feeling. That's, if I had to describe, Stephen Strange, that's kind of how I would set the tone for anyone who really hadn't heard of him. Tom Hardy, I don't know, man. I don't know how that would work.
My vote is for Cumberbatch all day, every fucking day. I think he would be brilliant for it. All you have to do is basically at this point tell me Cumberbatch would be the villain, and I'm like, yes.
Well, Stephen Strange isn't a villain.
Oh, well,
He's
okay.
A superhero.
You should have filled me in on that before the show, you asshole.
I said he was a superhero.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, okay. But anyway,
kind of zoned out.
But anyway, I think his. I think Cumberbatch is talented enough as an actor, and I think he proved this with Con, that he could really sell that whole kind of mysterious, magical persona that Stephen Strange has going for him.
I still think the name Doctor Strange sounds better for a villain.
You know.
And that's kind of why I like, part of it was I did kind of like blip out for just a split second when I was reflecting on that, and I was actually thinking about which actor I think would be better, just to like solidify the opinion in my mind. And it just seems, I don't know, seems more like a villain name. And I've always had that impression. Like, I've heard of the character, but I just always thought he was a villain because of the name.
Nah, he took Tony Stark on a spirit journey in the comics once through his own subconsciousness, and that's really foreshadowed the return of the Mandarin, with Tony finding Mandarin oranges in the middle of a desert.
Is that just like superhero way of saying they experimented in college?
No. Tony Stark was brain dead, and then Stephen Strange went into his mind and like pulled him out, and then he found oranges, and then the Mandarin showed up. That was basically that storyline. Hey,
who am I to bitch? I mean, whatever, okay.
No, it's funny because you really didn't think of it because, he just, Tony's got oranges and he's like, what the fuck is Tony doing with oranges in the dream world? And then the Mandarin shows up and they're like, oh, Mandarin. Oh, I see what they did there.
The man likes his vitamin C, okay? Helps the immune system.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, they name-dropped Stephen Strange in Captain America 2 when that Hydra guy was talking about, like, enemies of Hydra that their new algorithm would target, and they're like, you, Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange! So, Marvel's already hinted that Stephen Strange is something they kind of want to do, and I guess now if they're seriously considering actors, it's going to be a thing that happens. And we've talked a lot about Marvel sort of overextending themselves, and I still think that is the case. Like, I still, yes, the trailers look awesome, but I still don't understand why Guardians of the Galaxy is getting their own movie. But Stephen Strange is something that I'd actually want to see, just because I'd be curious to see how they pull it off. If they were actually able to capture the spirit of the character.
If it's got Cumberbatch in it, I'd be much more likely to give it an honest sitting. Mm-hmm. If it's Tom Hardy, whatever.
He should just do the Bane voice the entire movie.
Oh, for fuck's sake, no.
What have you done for your city?
Gotham, stay a while and listen.
Victory has defeated you, Batman. Okay, I'm done.
A quick aside, a very quick off-topic going here real quick, now that it's on my mind, because you mentioned Tom Hardy, which made me think of Bane, Deckard Bane, Diablo, Blizzard. Uh-huh. I have gotten into the Heroes of the Storm Alpha. I haven't gotten a chance to actually really sit down and play it yet. Both Mike and I have been rather busy over the last couple of days taking care of some things. But, I will sit down and give this a play, and next weekend I will give my first impressions on that.
Also next weekend, I believe we have a Bad Movie Public Defender coming out.
Yes, I will be doing Speed Racer. Apologies, Greg. I meant to get around to it this week. It just did not really pan out.
Like Jack said, we've both been very busy these past couple of days.
But yeah, it will be done, and we will be. I will do my damnedest to defend Speed Racer next weekend.
Oh, that's going to be such succulent victory.
Don't underestimate me, sir.
Hey, we had people say that in a vacuum, your arguments for Last Airbender were held up. I don't think anyone flat out said they agreed with you, but they said your arguments held up.
And honestly, just kind of like off the cuff, off the record.
You're like the white Johnny Cochran.
Yeah. Yeah, with something like that, when it comes to a franchise that's just so beloved and you see something like that happen with it, and it's going to leave a bad impression in people's minds. There's no way around it. The best you can do is try to argue that movie on its own merits in a vacuum. That's really, that was kind of pretty much what my arguments were based on, because you can't, if your opinion is based on the cartoon series, of course the movie's going to come up lacking. That's just me off the record saying, yeah, I get it. I actually did rather enjoy the movie, though. It wasn't the worst piece of shit I've ever seen.
I like the guy who played Iroh. And
yeah, to me, honestly, I can sit and watch it, and it's fun. It's got action in it. It's watchable. I like it well enough. It's not like, ooh, but it's like, whatever.
Honestly, I'd be willing to put up with a proper trilogy of that series, if only just to see more of that guy who played Iroh, because he was just really good in it. But M. Night Shyamalan being box office poison kind of ensured that would never happen.
I actually was kind of disappointed that there never was a sequel, because I would like to have seen, call me crazy, give M. Night Shyamalan another chance with it, see if he can learn from his mistakes, have another go at it.
After Earth would seem to indicate that he has not.
True. Now, that's one movie I will tell you, and that's why I said a few episodes ago, I will not defend that movie. I can't. I only made it through about half an hour of it.
I got dragged to see that movie. And oh my god, I actually was apologized to after, as soon as we stepped out of the theater.
Yeah, and this is probably going to get some hate mail or some bad comments, but it was the most boring thing I've seen since Mad Men.
Oh! I haven't seen Mad Men, I have no opinion.
That show, I gave it so many chances because I kept hearing everyone be like, oh yeah, man, it's awesome. And I sat down and I watched it, and you've known me for almost 10 years, Mike. You know about my insomnia. That fucker put me to sleep. Not once, but on 3 separate occasions.
Man. Well, send your hate mail to basicallyageekshow@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Moving on. We got some Transformers news. Before we delve into BotCon, though, there is one piece of news I want to touch on. The producer for the live-action G.I. Joe movies, Lorenzo de Bonaventura.
Bless you.
Apologies if I pronounced that wrong.
I'm just worried about you getting it off of yourself.
Has gone on record saying that a live-action Transformers G.I. Joe crossover will probably not happen. This, I can't say I'm surprised, considering that Hasbro essentially killed G.I. Joe.
Happy 50th, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not laughing to make fun. I'm just kind of laughing at the absurdity of it all. Like, if you're a G.I. Joe fan, man, I legitimately feel for you.
I do too.
I legitimately do feel for you. Because, I'll be honest, I didn't think the last G.I. Joe movie was all that bad.
I didn't think either of them were terrible. I mean, I didn't like what they did with Cobra Commander in the first one.
Oh, they rectified in the second. They do.
They did.
They more than made up for that in the second.
But, I mean, it just is like solid action movies. Both of them were pretty decent. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, again, kind of like with Avatar, not awesome, not great, but they were, for what it was decent and watchable. The second one more so. The second one actually approached territory into good. Mm. So, I mean, you know.
I did find it strange that they blew up London and then nobody mentioned it again afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The reason why I laugh about it is I just find the irony to be really funny, just like the whole thing of Happy 50th G.I. Joe, by the way, you're never existing ever again.
But, you know, we can move on to better things. A franchise that is not dead. Transformers. BotCon 2014 happened this weekend. In fact, it's actually still technically going on.
Yeah.
BotCon, but all the big news has come out, and we are going to tackle the entire event known as BotCon. I'm going to start with what I think was the headliner. That is that the Creo Custom Creons Wave 2 and 3 have been announced.
Now, how is that a headliner? And yeah, I'm looking at these right now, and as far as Creons go, and again, I still think that sounds like a goddamn insult. You know, they are a notch above. That's not saying a whole big deal. I mean, if you want something cute to put on your fucking office desk at the cubicle at work, mm-hmm. It'll fly. You know, you don't want to sacrifice your real Transformers to that smelly guy down the road who'll just come by and swipe them. But, I mean, you know, so
they're
for
really
that,
playing
this
up
works.
the night themes of these guys, though.
Yeah, they are. And I like how, I guess it's one of the Dinobots, maybe, I guess Grimlock is holding like a fucking Batleth.
Yeah. Indeed he is. But let's discard Creon, and let's move on to what I feel is the real big news. Generations leader Megatron.
Yes!
Now, before we get into... We're going to be talking a lot about Generations and movie stuff. I kind of want to address what Hasbro said they kind of view the brand as going forward. Hasbro announced that they view the brand as being divided into 3 parts. Rescue bots for preschoolers. Age of Extinction movie stuff will be for kids. And the Generation stuff will be aimed at collectors. So that's sort of where Hasbro's mind is at the moment. When you hear us talking about Generations or Age of Extinction, just kind of keep that in mind. So it's Generations Leader Class Megatron.
And my God, is it magnificent.
Indeed. Robot mode looks like it looks very G1 in robot mode.
Extremely. Like, almost dead on
that
in
torso,
most ways.
The torso is...
Yeah.
That torso looks like it came right out of the cartoon.
Yeah. And the head sculpt. Brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Now, of course, he can't be a gun because...
Yeah.
So instead they have him transform into a tank. And you know what? As a tank, it works. I've long been a proponent that if Megatron can't be a handgun, he should be a tank.
Yeah.
And and this is almost, you know, the perfect G1 Megatron figure, for me because it is a clean Generations 1 Megatron with with a tank alternate mode. It's everything I could have wanted, honestly.
And if these pictures are in fact indicative of the final product, and these aren't like Photoshop tricks of light and all this other shit, the paint is mind-blowing.
I think that might be photoshopped, because these are official images from Hasbro, so I think there would be a lot of Photoshop going. I mean, a lot of, Photoshop work done, but even on the torso, like, you know, that Megatron has that orange kind of trapezoid with the red and blue and black panel lines above it.
Yeah.
If they can even get that done, it doesn't even have to look as detailed as it does in these pictures. If they can just get those paint apps done nice and crisp and cleanly, then this is going to be a brilliant looking figure.
Yes.
I have nothing but good things to say about this. Between this and Leader Jetfire, I'm really excited about Generations Leader class.
I agree completely. Yes, guys, this is going to be one part of Transformers figure discussion where I don't sit here and yell ass over and over again.
They know what they're doing with Generations.
Yeah, I'm on board with this. 125%. I love it.
Now, from reports from people who have attended the Hasbro panel at BotCon, they mentioned that the treads actually work. On this tank, yeah. It's not one of those things where, like, the treads are solid plastic and then they hide little wheels underneath it. Apparently, you can roll this thing, like, in tank mode, you can roll it on a flat surface and the treads will work.
Huh.
And, if that's not good enough, they announced that they're going to be releasing a repaint and slight retool of this toy as Armada Megatron.
Indeed. Now, aesthetically, I like the G1 better, at least this interpretation of it. But still, it's Armada Megatron, one of the stronger incarnations as far as I think both Mike and I are concerned. Mm-hmm. I'm on board with this too, and I'll probably get this fucker as well.
I love the original Armada Megatron toy. In fact, that thing is actually some knee joints away from being pretty damn good. He was hampered by the fact that he had to combine with Tidal Wave, and they thought giving him knee joints would make him unable to hold up all the Tidal Wave stuff. So he's got pretty static legs, but it's a very characterful design, and I'm very happy to see it. And now, yeah, it doesn't look as good as the G1 Megatron toy. You can obviously tell that this toy was designed to be G1 Megatron first, and then they did what they could to make him Armada-esque.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the Armada robot mode, you can see that the G1 Megatron torso details are still clearly there. They just really haven't been emphasized with paint.
Yeah.
And G1 and Armada Megatron's cannon actually wasn't on his arm, it was at his hip. But obviously here it's at his arm. Because again, this was made to be G1 Megatron first, and then they just kind of made him Armada-esque. But I'm gonna say the thing that really sells this as Armada Megatron is that head.
Yeah. Yeah, that head is, that head, lol.
I mean...
yeah, it looks good. And really the shoulders and...
What I really like about that head is that they didn't just stick the Armada Megatron antlers on the G1 Megatron head sculpt.
Yeah, that would have been kind of funny though, but yeah.
But no, they gave him like a proper new Megatron, Armada Megatron head.
Yeah.
And you know what? I gotta say, it's a leader class toy. These are expensive. I'm definitely getting that G1 Megatron, but I'm just gonna say, like, if I happen to have a bit of some extra cash on me and I just happen to find this thing and there's nothing else I need to spend it on, I might get the Armada one too.
Yeah, the G1 Megs is definitely the stronger of the two. If you're a big Armada fan or just, a completionist and want another solid Megatron, then the Armada also will work. But yeah, the G1 is better. And I'm pretty much there with you.
I'm not even really, it's just that, okay. I got into Transformers when they re-showed the Generation 1 show, and they called it G2 for that crappy CGI opening.
Oh, God.
But, so that's what got me into Transformers. I kinda drifted away I actually watched, around the first season of Beast Wars when it originally aired. But I kinda drifted away from Transformers after that, and really didn't get back into it until Robots in Disguise, which was sort of okay. And then I really got, Armada really got me in full swing, and I've been a fan, since Armada. So, I'm not even saying this as a completionist. I'm just saying, man, Armada Megatron, love that character design, and, if the money's there, I might buy 2 of this thing just to have Armada Megatron in a new form.
Yeah, and if I can, I'll definitely get Armada Megatron as well, because I liked the character. I liked Armada very much. Mm-hmm. For me, it kind of marked a point where Transformers began to feel like Transformers again, after all the Beast assholery. So.
And speaking of Beast Wars getting put in its fucking place before we move on, the Hall of Fame voting was announced. RC and Rodimus Prime both made it into the Hall of Fame. Jack and I are not the biggest fans of Rodimus Prime, but I think we take Rodimus Prime in the Hall of Fame over any of the Beast Wars nominations.
Yeah, and I've kind of softened up a little bit on my Rodimus stance over the years.
I will say that I've become a lot more amicable to Rodimus Prime recently, because if only because Rodimus Prime has been really well done in the More Than Meets the Eye IDW series.
Yeah.
So, they kind of make him the asshole-ish Bruce Campbell type.
And honestly, it was one of the things he got right. The few things he got right about Energon.
Yeah, Rodimus and Energon was pretty cool.
So,
Yeah, so, suck it, Beast Wars. It's always nice to see Beast Wars lose a fan vote, because their fans are so are all persuasive, and they just don't shut up about the glory of that show, and I'm just happy. Yeah, you know what? 2 G1 characters got in, Beast Wars didn't. Suck it!
Yeah, and I thought RC kind of deserved a spot too. When I looked at the list, of the actual finals, I'm like, yeah, RC would be my top pick. Rodimus probably my second.
I mean, the way you think about it, if you think about it, IDW's, really pushing the whole Windblade, miniseries.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I'd say, in a long time, female Transformers are getting significant media attention. And RC, okay, yes, Alita 1 showed up in the show before RC did, but RC was the first regular cast member in Transformers that was female.
Yeah.
So, she was the trailblazer, as it were. So,
not to be confused with actual Trailblazer.
So, yes. So, RC makes into the Hall of Fame. Good for her. And Rodimus, if nothing else, he was the Autobot leader for a full season of the cartoon. So, woo!
He's kind of like the Gerald Ford. Oh, not, Jimmy Carter of the Primes. I'm sorry to say Gerald Ford. Jimmy Carter. Sure, he was a one-termer, but, in retrospect, we could have done a lot worse. And also, as is with Jimmy Carter, we realize how much worse we could have done presently. But, glad to see Rodimus get some love, at least out of respect for his more recent incarnations. Mm-hmm. And, the female Transformer demographic needed to be respected a little bit, and who better to start off with that than RC?
Indeed. Moving on from there, we've got a new Voyager G1 style Optimus Prime.
Yes, I did see that.
Now we haven't really gotten one since. Well, we talked about it on a few shows back, if not the last show. G1, the Classics Optimus Prime toy that we both really love, and which I think a lot of people do. I routinely see it ranked very highly among the fandom. That was the last time we got a G1 style Optimus Prime at a significant price point. Everything since then, we had the movies, we had animated, more movie stuff, Transformers Prime, more for Cybertron, which you could say was G1 inspired, but it definitely had its own thing going on. But for the first time, this G1 style Voyager Optimus Prime based on his IDW design. And, granted, we only have pictures to go on. But do you see this holding up or supplanting or surpassing or taking the torch from 2006's Classics Optimus Prime that we both love so much?
No, I don't see it going that far. I see it as being, a solid representation of G1 Prime in a bit more modern aesthetic. I certainly see the design cues to Classics Prime here. I don't know. I have a couple of problems with it. Mm-hmm. The head sculpt the face seems to be too wide. I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that. Okay. I guess the big thing is the head sculpt to me seems too small in general.
The face is too wide. The head is too small overall. By God, those fucking windows, how big do they need to be?
Okay. The window chest, very wide, very broad shoulders. And then on top of it, you've just got this little head.
Yeah. So
I'm not really liking that. I'm not even saying it has to be a lot big. It just needs to be a bit bigger, just to fill out the space a bit more. And even on its own, I'm not a big fan of that head sculpt. Classics Prime had Classics Prime, his head sculpt is fantastic. The head sculpt on it is sharp, it's crisp, it's got a bit of an edge to it. This just kind of looks small and soft, the head sculpt here.
Yeah, and, again, it may be different. This is one of those things where it's such a gray area with me that, getting the figure hands-on may change it. And I would like to have this. I don't see anything so wrong with it that I don't want it. It's a solid representation of G1 Prime. It's just maybe not the representation that I would have wanted to see.
Yeah. And I honestly, they're saying this is IDW inspired. Looking at this and looking at IDW Prime, I really don't see it all that much. IDW Prime had chest panels, for example, like the windows were part of these he had a very layered chest, and this guy's chest, it looks flat, lol.
I can I can see where they're trying to maybe go for a layered look, like you can see the details in the lower torso and everything as it goes down from that huge square chest. Mm-hmm. You can kind of see the design cues to it. Maybe they didn't know how to work it in and still have it be. Here's the thing about that. There's a third-party toy on the market right now called Orion. Right.
And it is the IDW Prime toy, and they hit the nailed chest, the layered chest perfectly. So, I don't know, man. It looks like, like you said, it looks like a decent, adequate representation of G1 Prime, but I'm just really not seeing the overt IDW-ness.
Yeah, it's not a bad figure. God knows, I've seen a lot worse. And I'll pick it up.
Prime.
Oh, Fatimus Prime. Dear Christ.
Yeah, no, Energon Prime, anytime I think a Prime toy looks bad, I just kind of look at Energon Prime oh, well, it could be worse.
Yeah. It looks like they've tried to make the arm kibble a little bit less apparent on this. It looks like they just kind of fold out as opposed to the whole, big chunks that kind of, I guess, rotate around and flat back around and all that other shit. So it looks like they tried to minimize that, kind of, I guess, taking in line some feedback from the fans on, some of the criticism Classics Prime has gotten for that arm kibble.
I don't even mind that arm kibble.
I don't either. When you have a figure that goddamn gray, you can forgive some fucking kibble. Mm-hmm. And what Transformer doesn't have kibble? Besides, Revenge of the Fallen Leader Prime.
Oh, God,
and that thing's just...
Jack actually heard me trying to transform that thing. I finally got it.
And tell the listeners how long you've had the toy.
Since 2009, so it's been 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And I never got him into truck mode, because that toy is so goddamn... I tried, it was frustrating, I could never get all the bits to line up, so I just kept him in robot.
Hate when that happens. And but before the fans say something, yes, I did inform him. There is a thing called YouTube, and it can help show you how to transform these things. I did tell him that.
Well, I finally got around to doing it. He's in truck mode. He's probably going to stay in truck mode now. But, yeah, no. G1, Revenge of the Fallen Leader Prime, not entirely kibble-free, but 99% kibble-free. They really outdid themselves, but at the same time, that toy's really indicative of why they're going to these simpler designs these days, because they saw that and they said, this is goddamn ridiculous.
Oh, geez. But yeah, this figure is good. Not the best. If I have the money and I find it, I'll pick it up. It's not something I go out of my way to get, but if I find it and I got the money, I'd definitely get it without hesitation.
See, here's the thing. I think G1, I think Classics Prime is so good that I don't have this pressing need to replace him.
Me neither.
So, what I think I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to wait for him to come out. I'll take a look at some pics. I'll even watch a review or two online, and then that'll kind of gauge whether or not I want to spend the money on him. If he looks like he's a decent toy, if he looks like he's got some cool features, I'll pick him up. But if it's just like, he's all right, I'll be like, I've got Classics Prime.
Pretty much.
Moving on, we have another Voyager, Voyager Brainstorm.
And this one I wasn't so hot on.
Now, Brainstorm's got a lot of love in the fandom for his recent IDW appearance, where he's sort of the best way to describe him is he is the, you know, Q from James Bond?
Yeah.
He's sort of the Q of the More Than Meets the Eye Lost Light crew. In the comics, he's always carrying around a suitcase, which is implied to be the super powerful weapon, which he has never opened. In fact, one scene showed him humorously talking to the briefcase saying, "Soon."
Lol.
So, you know, Brainstorm's got a lot of love because of his More Than Meets the Eye appearance. This does look like it's going to stay true to his original toy in that it is a headmaster. I didn't make the term.
I know.
But apparently, when he's in vehicle mode, when he's in spaceship mode, the head he transforms to the little guy, and the little guy can actually pilot the spaceship mode, which is cool. Again, you know, I like More Than Meets the Eye. I find Brainstorm amusing. I'll probably get him just because of the More Than Meets the Eye connection. But I know that you're not quite caught up on the comic stuff. Jack, and just as a transforming figure, you're just not sold on him?
I don't know. I think it's the overall aesthetic of it. Now that I'm looking at it again, I'm disliking it less. I do like it a bit more. And we'll see, we'll see which way the wind's blowing when it comes out, and I might pick him up if the shiggles factor is there. Indeed.
I don't know. The IDW, the James Robertness is strong in this one, I think. And maybe it's because I grew up during the 90s, but god damn it, that teal looks sexy.
That's one of the big turnoffs with me.
Oh, you don't have a true appreciation for the tealness.
I just said as much. No, I really don't.
But, yeah, that's Brainstorm. If nothing else, even if you're not one who really cares for Brainstorm, at least this shows you that they're serious in doing comic characters justice. And the more that they do, the happier we'll all be.
This is true, because what they start off with as toys, they will hopefully end up with on the small screen.
Indeed. And now we've got, I also want to talk about the Generations Deluxe Fembots. RC and Chromia. You there, Jack?
Yep, I'm here. I'm pulling them up.
Sorry. So yes, RC and Chromia. RC looks like, it's a very G1 design.
Yeah.
But she comes with the swords, which are very evocative of IDW. RC has swords in IDW. Then we have Chromia, who looks like she's based off of the Chromia design from the IDW miniseries Windblade, or Windblade, as it were.
Yeah. Of the two figures, I actually kind of like Chromia better.
I think the RC figure suffers from them trying to stay too honest to the G1 character design. Like, okay, you can tell in the robot mode that a lot of the car ends up as backpack kibble.
Yeah.
I would have preferred it if they had used some of that mass to maybe fill RC out beyond just staying true to the robot mode. Like, it would have made her less G1 accurate, but I think it would have made her a pretty cool design that was influenced by G1, but just updated a bit.
Yeah.
As it was, they're trying to stay too close. I think it kind of suffers for that. But Chromia looks very true to her IDW self, and she should look nice on a shelf next to Windblade.
Yeah. I like them both. I like Chromia more, though.
Mm-hmm. It's the blue, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the blue.
Alrighty, and I know you're not big on the smaller guys, but I want to talk a bit about Legends. I want to talk about Legends because, as we can see in this current assortment of Legends that they announced, we're getting Bombshell, an Insecticon, and he actually looks pretty cool, like as an updated Bombshell. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I've seen that, and if it weren't for the fact that Legends are so small and
they've been bulking out lately.
Too small, too much money, and therefore, as far as I'm concerned, a waste of both money and plastic. I mean, why can't they do this in a
deluxe price point?
Right, exactly. I just view these things as just a joke and a waste. It's a shame that they're using some characters that I would like to see in a real format on these.
I will admit I'll probably buy the Bombshell, if only because he looks like a decent representation of G1 Bombshell, and he'll be small as a Legends, but insects are small, so that'll be my rationalization.
Yeah, fair enough on that, I suppose.
Power Glide 2 looks pretty good, as far as the representation of Power Glide goes. The thing that I'm not getting at all is Wind Charger. Wind Charger looks like garbage. I'm just going to say it. And they released a slightly bigger Scout-size Wind Charger a couple of years ago that I was able to pick up. That looks so much better. I just don't see the need for this as a thing. So, moving on. We're going to talk about some Revenge of the Fallen stuff now. Revenge of the Fallen, Age of Extinction. My apologies. We're going to start with some more One Pump Chumps.
Ass.
Here we go. There is the link. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on these new one-step transformation. Like, I know we've made fun of these in the past, but I'm just curious if there's anything here that maybe you think looks decent.
Well, the Galvatron is about as much of a quality as you would get from any other size class of Galvatron. Drift as a helicopter seems to be a little bit less like a turd.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I still hate these things. I hate the very concept of them. I think they're garbage.
Yeah. I'm really not feeling these.
I don't see the need for these to even exist. I don't see the need for this entire concept to exist. I think they're a fucking joke. They're a waste of money. They're a waste of plastic. They're a waste of time. They're a waste of gas to go to the store to get them. They're just garbage.
Now again, these are aimed for kids, but here's the thing. They do sell 5-step simple transformation figures for the movie line that for 5 steps look, if you wanted to get them for your kids, they look decent.
Yeah, and those are adequate for that.
But the one-step transformation one that they've been pushing, they just don't look like they hold up, in my opinion. They just end up looking terrible.
Yeah, I mean, okay, if you're getting these for a 2-year-old and all they're capable of is a one-step, that's completely different.
Mm.
But they're aiming these at like a slightly higher age group than that, and that's kind of an insult.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Again, I've made this argument before. I'll make it again. I got into G1 when I was, 5, 6 years old. And those were very simple transformations by a lot of the standards of things that are out these days. They were plenty fine. They weren't complicated. We don't need one step. That's an insult. And again, these figures are just garbage. They're not worth anything.
Mm. Moving on to some Generations Age of Extinction stuff. We finally got some releases of what's going to be their premium lineup, and they actually look decent when you add paint.
What? Paint? What the fuck are you talking about?
So what we've got here, we've got the Evasion Mode Optimus Prime done up in the Junkyard colors he will appear as in the movie.
Which looks, again, better as a Silver Knight Prime than the actual Silver Knight Prime.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And, oh man, yeah, this just looks great, especially if they can get that weathered look across in paint.
Yeah.
That looks absolutely fantastic. We've got what they're calling Roll Bar, which doesn't look movie-esque at all. In fact, it's a purple and white repaint of Generations skids.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like a movie figure, but, whatever. And then we've got a black and dark bronze-like repaint of Grimlock. This looks like the Leader Grimlock figure.
Yeah, it does, and I like it.
Like, this looks so much better than the Leader Grimlock that they're currently selling.
Yeah, all of these are vast improvements over their predecessors. I mean, they have, paint and things. I like them. It's a shame you have to go to the premium class, the platinum class, to fucking get these. Mm-hmm. This should not be at a fucking $60 price point. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. You can argue business, what the fuck ever. No. This should not be at a $60 price point. This should be available regularly. Yeah, and I mean, the Leader Class Prime that they have there in the premium paint job looks just stunning. Yeah, and all the, I don't see really well. Okay, there is one that I'm kind of like, what the fuck about, and I think you're going to know which one I'm going to say. The Dread, the Dread SUV guy with the spikes. Yeah, what the fuck? That looks like a repaint from Dark of the Moon, where they had the Insecticon SUVs. Okay. Like, it just looks like they needed to fill out the line a bit more, so they're like, oh, let's just repaint that one. Yeah, now, that thing I wouldn't really, I'm so not getting that. Indeed. But the rest of them look pretty solid. The repaint of Skids is a little bit iffy, but it seems like a decent enough figure on its own. Like, I actually like the color scheme, and I like the way it all looks. I'm just curious why this is a movie toy, because that is a Generations/G1 style toy. Yeah. Like, it does not fit in with the movie look at all. Yeah, the rest of these are good. I like them. It's just, lamentable that you've got to go to the top price point to fucking get them. Mm. Because, this should be the standard of quality for these figures, not the high end. This should be the standard. I agree entirely. We also got some more Age of Extinction news. Generations Deluxe Hotshot. Apparently Hotshot's going to be in this movie. We're getting live action Hotshot. Yay! And there's a link to his Generations toy, and good God, that robot mode looks terrible. All right, give me a second. Because this one actually was not aware of beforehand. Oh, dear God. What the fuck is going on with that face? Oh my God. I don't know what happened to that face. What is going on, between, his legs? I really hope that this picture shows some mistransformation. What's that between his legs? Yeah, exactly. No, listeners, I don't mean that. I mean much lower than where that would be. Yeah. What's that between, his shins? It looks like part of his car mode. But, look, I really hope... It looks like the hood is shackled to his legs? I really hope this thing is mistransformed. This can't be this can't be how it's supposed to look. Yeah, a mistransform is a common thing, fairly. Wow, that's... Yeah. I don't know what to make of it, man. That head sculpt, it's like, what the fuck? And then the body, maybe if a lot of those panels are mistransformed, and maybe if you can fold them away, in actuality, that thing would look decent, but
I mean, that's the picture Hasbro released. That's the thing that they set out into the world and said, buy this.
And that's the thing that I will send back to them and say, no. I mean, okay, for the viewers who just can't be arsed to go look at TFW or see the picture, this face looks like a Muppet watched on hot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it looks like one of the old men from the Muppets, the guys that sit up in the fucking balcony seat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or like some kind of thing from Star Trek where they try to make it human enough to be relatable, but not so human as to, be not alien.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like a seam running down the entire vertical axis of his face down to his chin. His mouth looks like he's fucking toothless.
Yeah.
The nose is squished and broad with that big obvious goddamn seam running down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
The upper head looks like it's almost like it's trying to be maybe hair or a helmet. And it just looks really weird.
Yeah.
And down between his knees, like from the knee joint down behind him, it looks like the hood is like attached and shackling his calves and shins together or something. I don't, and there are other issues with it too, but they're much smaller compared to those two.
Indeed. Oh man, I just don't know. Oh, I mean, I just hope this thing's mistransformed. That's got to be it. That's how I'm rationalizing it. It's got to be it. But anyway, moving on. Our last bit of news from BotCon comes from the Transformers Collectors Club. Are you aware of their subscription service?
I am aware of their their subscription service, though pardon me if I'm worried to give them my credit card number.
Yeah. That's a thing that...
Though, I mean, I do feel terribly sorry for them for having been inconvenienced by the fan base, unreasonably being upset about this.
Yeah.
I do feel deep sympathy for them.
Indeed.
But yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
But yes, they announced their third subscription service series. And so I figure we can go over all of these figures. The first one that I want to talk about is Kronk. Kronk is a repaint of Generations Dreadwing, who is in turn based off of Generations IDW Megatron. Not feeling it?
You will probably like it because it's kind of got that 90s G2 vibe to it. I think it looks horrible.
Kronk is actually based off of an Action Master from the 90s. Action Masters, they were transforming action figures.
Yes.
And so Kronk, beforehand, that had been Kronk's only toy, and of course he didn't transform, but his sculpting had hints of a spaceship, which is why he gets the spaceship stealth bomber look.
Right.
Next is Nacelle.
Yeah.
Nacelle, this is his first toy, actually. Nacelle was previously had only been mentioned in the Exodus book, in which he was brought up as Starscream's right-hand man in the Seekers.
Right.
So what do you think of Nacelle? I mean, I like it. I like the color scheme. I like the color placement.
I like it well enough.
Mm-hmm. This is, of course, based off of the Classics Thrust mode, Seeker.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I like what they did there. Serpent OR is a transforming version of Serpentor from G.I. Joe. So I'm curious what you think about that. He's based off of the Generations Senator Ratbat toy.
Those colors.
Well, it's Serpentor from G.I. Joe. He is gold and green.
I know. Ocular rape, though, I don't like it.
I kind of get the feeling because like I kind of get what they're going for because Serpentor in G.I. Joe he had that helmet that looked like a snake.
Well, I mean, this isn't like Hot Shot where there's obvious design issues. Me saying that I don't like this, it's based on a purely subjective, that color and everything, I don't care what it's based off of, how true it is to its original, whatever, I don't like it. I just don't like those colors. I think it looks stupid. I have the Senator Rat toy. It is a very good toy. But that head is clearly designed to be sort of a bat, shaped helmet. And I guess they're trying to pass it off as a snake-shaped helmet here with the colors. Yeah. And, mileage may vary. Yeah. Moving on, we have Zap with GD Blackrock, Creon figure. For those unaware, Zap is a obscure, 90s, transforming character. He only ever appeared in toy form, never in, the show. And GD Blackrock is sort of Tony Stark light, is the best way to describe it. The original Transformers comic series was done by Marvel, and they wanted sort of a Tony Stark-like industrial figure, but Marvel was hesitant to cross too much of their own stuff over with Transformers. So Tony Stark was unavailable, so they made GD Blackrock, who looks very much like Tony Stark, only with glasses. And so, if you get this Zap figure, you'll get an update. He's based off of the IDW Generations Bumblebee toy. So if you get an updated version of an obscure Transformer, and then you get a little Lego not Tony Stark. Yay! Thoughts? Yay! I'm glad I don't fucking pay for this.
Now, here's one I'd actually be interested in getting. Not the subscription service as a whole, but this is a figure I'd look to pick up on its own, and that is G2 Starscream.
Yeah, I know you like it.
It's a repaint of the classic Starscream toy in G2 colors, and the reason why I want this is because G2 Starscream was actually the original G2 Starscream was my very first Transformers toy. I have a lot of nostalgia for the G2 Starscream design. And I would very much like to pick this up if I could find it on its own for a decent price.
Yeah, from the standpoint of someone who has no nostalgia whatsoever from that figure, for me, there's far better iterations of Starscream to get. I'm not digging it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I get where you're coming from on your end. I respect that, but I'm just saying objectively, mm-hmm. I don't see much here worth my time.
And then we've got Tarantulas. Now, Tarantulas was a character from Beast Wars. He transformed into, a tarantula.
Get the fuck out.
Surprise, surprise. They were very clever with those names. But here we've got, this is supposed to be representative of Tarantulas before he got to Earth and scanned a insect alternate mode. So he is based off of the Generations Wreck-Gar toy with a new head. So the implication being that before he scanned a tarantula for his alternate mode in Beast Wars, Tarantulas was a motorcycle. And I know you have very little care factor with Beast Wars. I'm more or less right there with you. But what do you think of Tarantulas as a motorcycle?
How dare they do this to Wreck-Gar? You assholes. Fuck this toy.
So I take it you will not be paying for the subscription service?
Most of these look like fucking cheap-ass pieces of shit.
I will say the last subscription service had stuff I was interested in, mostly because they had Chrome Dome and Rewind.
Well, yeah.
But, here's what I'm seeing here in terms of figures for this third one. Croc, early 90s obscure action master. Nacelle, obscure novel only character. Generations 2 Starscream, okay. Serpent OR, reference to an obscure Transformers G.I. Joe crossover where they made a robot version of Serpentor. Zap of GD Blackrock. Obscure 90s Transformer with obscure comic character. Dawn of Futures Past Tarantulas, a robot, an obscure reference to when Tarantulas wasn't a tarantula. So I'm feeling like a lot of what they've chosen to focus on here are just really obscure, really not notable figures. Whereas compare them to their last subscription service, where again, Chrome Dome and Rewind, my fandom for those characters aside, they were well-known characters who had been very well received in the comic books, and they capitalized on that brilliantly. People who might not have been interested in the subscription service said, well, I want, Rewind and Chrome Dome, so sure. But here, it's just, it just seems like there's not a lot here to get excited about. It's just a lot of obscure references. And I kind of get where they're coming from in some respect, because it's a subscription service. It costs it's a premium. So, you kind of want characters that only the hardcores would find interesting. But at the same time, I think this kind of takes that too far. They're so obscure that even if you're a hardcore fan, you've got to be wondering, is this batch of characters really going to be worth putting down money for?
And if Tarantulas wasn't... Okay, Tarantulas came to Earth, scanned a spider, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he was named Tarantulas...
Now you're getting into a whole different level of Beast Wars discussions that I don't think we have time to get into right now.
I know, but I'm going to point it out because, God damn it, we need to.
Yeah. In the Beast Wars cartoon, you had Megatron and Optimus Primal. God damn it! But you had Megatron and Optimus Primal. Their names really didn't have anything to do with their alternate modes. But then you had the rest of the cast. Pterosaur became a Pteranodon.
Get the fuck out.
Waspinator became a wasp. Scorponok became a scorpion. I'll give them a pass on that one, because Scorponok's kind of been a thing in Transformers, so whatever. Dinobot became a Velociraptor. What else was there? Rhinox became a rhino, Cheetor became a cheetah, Tarantulas became a tarantula, Rat Trap became a rat. Beast Wars as a cartoon gets praised. Oh, it was so well written. Just look at that first episode and how all of their names and alternate modes come together, and tell me that is proof of a well-written series.
Yeah, and, I'm not going to say that G1 is without those things as well. I mean, Bumblebee, Jazz, Hound.
No. I'll say that. No. I'll defend them. It's not like Jazz's alternate mode is overtly jazzy. Like,
right, but I'm saying how would the name even exist without the Earth?
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I get that.
So I mean, I get that G1 does have some similar problems, but the entire series isn't built around it.
Yeah.
As it is with this. And, okay, so if your name is Tarantulas, but you've never seen a tarantula and you turn into a goddamn motorcycle, what the fuck is going on here? I don't even.
Mm-hmm. And then you get to Earth and just so happen to scan a tarantula. No. Watch, if you want some truly facepalm-worthy moments, watch the first episode of Beast Wars. And then come back to me and tell me it was this well-written series, because, we'll have something to talk about. So, that's BotCon, Jack. What are your thoughts on it in general, this year's BotCon? Good, bad, indifferent?
Better than I thought it was going to be. I'm cautiously optimistic about a lot of the Generations things that Hasbro's coming out with, mm-hmm. and at least, they saved their best for BotCon, which, I get that, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there. Not as much ass as I expected or feared there would be, so that's a good thing. I'm always happy in that regard to be proven wrong.
Oh yeah, definitely. Traditionally, BotCons that come out during movie years, they tend to focus a lot on the movie stuff. And those of us who really like Generations or who are looking forward to, you know, whatever the new show is, we tend to lose out a bit during movie years because it's all movie focused. And there was a significant movie presence there. We saw the quite frankly, very nice, premium paint jobs, that they're going to be releasing, which, as you mentioned, should be the standard, but, you know, that's a different topic.
Yeah.
But point being that even though there was a significant movie presence here, we got a lot of Generation stuff for a movie year, BotCon. And given how nice a lot of it looked, you know, that RC figure looks flawed, but it's still the first G1 RC figure we've had.
Yeah.
That Leader Megatron is just gorgeous. Leader Armada Megatron is, suitably ridiculous in all the best ways. Generations came in very strong at this BotCon, and I was happy to see that. The exclusive figures for BotCon, again, it seems like they had this pirate versus knight thing, and then it didn't really pan out. It's like they had an idea for like one pirate and one knight, and then they just filled in the rest with just random character homages, but whatever.
Yeah, you know, but the good thing is now we can focus our attention where it should be, on TFCon and the TFCon exclusive of Masterpiece Shafter.
I'm gonna buy 10.
You need 10.
I'll buy 10, I'll put 9 of them up on eBay, I'll be selling my Shaft for money.
What else is new?
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that has been it for episode 20 of Basically a Geek Show. You can catch us on iTunes, you can catch us on YouTube, Spreaker, and at our website at basicallyasportshow.com.
And in between paydays, you can catch us shifting through your garbage.
Indeed. You know, this glamorous lifestyle doesn't pay for itself.
Indeed.
For Jack, this has been Mike, signing off.
Good night, everybody.